welcome back to the Blind Press YouTube channel and coffee stream, Star Trek stream. Jesus Christ.
The youngest person here is acting senile.
I hate coffee.
I actually do need coffee. I don't have any. So that's probably why I fucked up. So it's a Star Trek stream today, and today with me I have Skep and Hammer. Irate may join us. I'm keeping an eye on the backstage just to make sure. And how are you two doing?
I just woke up. I guess you can tell by the sexy voice.
You've got morning voice.
Yeah, I spent all morning at the pharmacy, at the compounding pharmacy.
Oh boy!
So yeah, it's been an exciting day already. But I'm back home. I'm ready to go. I liked all three of your choices. I thought they were great. And Hammer, did you like all three of these?
No, I figured somebody wouldn't.
I didn't like any of them.
You didn't like
any of them?
No.
Oh.
Well, this will be fun.
That's a good thing. You don't want everybody agreeing. You want
it's fun to disagree. It's fun to disagree. It's fun to disagree.
Before everyone goes, what them? We are covering The Next Generation now and our favorite episodes of those. And I kind of, I picked mine on the fly, but I'm actually very happy with my picks. The ones I've picked are The Enemy from Season 3, Night Terrors from Season 4, and The Mind's Eye from Season 6. And I was having trouble deciding between Enemy and The Measure of a Man. But I figured someone's going to pick Measure of a Man. So I'll leave that one. It won't be you. So The Enemy.
Grumpy Hammer is grumpy.
Grumpy Hammer is grumpy. So The Enemy is because we're gonna go in numerical order. I almost said numerological because I really need coffee.
Would that work? Numerological? That would work, wouldn't it? That's close.
Well, it means something different.
Numerology is different than, yeah.
Numerology is the study
of numbers.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Close.
So The Enemy is about the Enterprise basically discovering a Romulan scout ship crashed on a planet called Galormden Core, which is well inside Federation territory. So, of course, they're like, why are there Romulans down there? It starts out, actually, with... it goes pretty quickly into the action with an away team beaming down onto Galormden Core, which is a incredibly stormy planet with electromagnetic storms and plasma discharges and all that fun stuff.
Basically Australia.
Yeah, basically Australia. It renders tricorders pretty much useless. All that good stuff. And they only have a specific window of time before the transporters don't work. And of course, Geordi, being the most close to Ensign Ricky of all of the main cast, falls down a giant hole, basically, and gets stuck on Galormden Core while Riker and Worf beam back up to the ship. And the episode is about the Enterprise trying to rescue Geordi, and Geordi finding a second Romulan on the planet. And they end up working together, basically, to find themselves, to get themselves to a place where they could be rescued. And it's the reason I like this episode is not just for the obvious. It centers around Geordi and talks about his blindness a lot, because that's kind of a trope. I like it because it's kind of a minimalist episode. There's only really two, like, you've got the bridge of the Enterprise, and then you've got the planet. And there's, like, I kind of like the simple episodes like that. It's a nice break. I could have done without Wesley being the one that figured out the neutrino beam to pulse down to the planet to cut through the storm, because Wesley Crusher's got to save everybody all the time.
And once again, I wanted to beat his face in with an aluminum baseball bat like I always do.
But Hammer, I'm curious, why did you not like this episode? Did Hammer mute? I think Hammer
muted because Hammer was having a coughing attack.
Oh, that's no good.
But I am okay. I always seem to have coughing attacks when I first wake up in the morning. My lungs have been sitting in a specific position while I'm sleeping all night, and when I move around, things loosen up and I start coughing. So
that sounds fun.
Yeah. I think, isn't everybody kind of like that? Don't you kind of cough a lot when you first get up in the morning?
I cough. I'm sniffly.
Yeah, I'm just happy to be breathing.
Am I giving on topic? Anyway, it's not so much that I outright hate this episode. It's not a bad episode. It's well acted. It's pretty well written, kind of simplistic. Where you find that to be a good thing, I find it kind of to be a bad thing. Well, because it's so simple, it's also kind of a little boring.
Yeah.
And very tropish because it's this is just another episode where Wesley saves the day. It's like that really bothered me, but the problem I have more with this episode is not so much with the episode as the failing to follow up on this episode. That's what really bothered me, because here is a position where we obviously did something very good for the Romulans, and you never hear about it again.
Yeah.
No, that guy, whoever the captain was, the other ship, you never hear from him again. He never comes up and says, "Oh, I remember you guys. You're the guys who helped my guy and treated him really well. So I'm going to cut you a break in this circumstance." We never hear a follow up to this
that's
story.
a good point.
That's a really great point, actually.
It would have made more sense had that been Tomalak.
It's a huge missed opportunity. That's the other thing that really annoyed me with this.
Because had that been Tomalak, that would have been a huge.
Oh, that would have been beautiful.
But that doesn't reflect badly on this episode. That reflects badly on future writing, really.
It does, but it's just a missed opportunity. And I kind of blame that whoever wrote this at not following up on it, because it was the introduction of, hey, we could be friends with the Romulans in some way, at least with somebody.
Or at least introduce an interesting arc to a future story of, saying, well, what about the time when,
But I really found...
Does Geordi still talk to that guy? Does Geordi still talk to Centurion Baccarat?
Oh, that would have been great.
Yeah.
Can you imagine an episode where Geordi, it's not part of the story, not part of the actual show, but a story where he's talking and they show his screen and it's a communicated Baccarat? Wouldn't that have been like, wow, he's still talking to the guy?
Now that you point this out, now I'm really bothered by the season 4 episode. Or no, the season, actually it is a season 4 episode where Geordi gets kidnapped by the Romulans and brainwashed into trying to kill a Klingon.
Right.
Why kidnap Geordi? He helped save a Romulan Centurion.
I was just going to say, doesn't that really render Geordi being kidnapped by the Romulans? Doesn't that put that into a different perspective? If they knew that he had cooperated, saved Romulan, cooperated with them, and was obviously a friend of the Romulans, wouldn't he have that kind of status with them? Wouldn't he have some? Why would they single him out? How evil are they? How mindlessly evil?
I mean, that does kind of point to the canonical Romulans can't be trusted.
But it wasn't Romulans, it was Klingons who did that.
That's true. It was a Klingon, but it was also a Klingon and it was Klingon-Romulan collusion. Again.
It's Russian collusion.
So, yeah, now that you point that out, Hammer, that kind of bothers me.
Yeah.
Yeah, but when Geordi showed up with the Romulans and they said, They should have said, "Oh, it's you. You're a friend to us. You know,
Yes.
we can't be torturing you. You saved our Centurion. You know,
Yep.
we got a huge problem with this Klingon boy."
Yeah.
I mean,
They should have said
the
that.
thing that
and
they should have done at the very least, so that they could still be Romulan, was, we're not going to hurt you, but here, let's steal your visor and see if we can modify it to use on someone else.
Yeah, or something. But anyway, they missed it. They totally were snowblind on that.
Yeah.
They just blew it.
Prospero says, continuity in canon? Bah, who needs continuity?
Good for you, Prospero. Right. Nailed it. Exactly. It's absolutely right.
But
So
there
you
are
go.
some things that I really liked about this episode. Were there any more that you didn't like, Hammer, about this? I know that's a really big point for you.
Well, really, the biggest thing, the fact that they dropped the ball on the whole Romulan storyline there, that bothers me. But it really was the Wesley thing.
Mm.
And it seemed like they had to do this because it services the plot, but it seems like everything had to work in a specific way for the story to take place. It had to be a specific window at a specific time, and he had to lose this thing and he had to do that thing. Everything had to be perfectly aligned for the story to happen. There was just too many variables that had to fit into place.
There were some big asks of the audience.
Yes.
That's true.
Yes.
And there was another big ask, if you don't mind my pointing it out, that did bother me. And that was at the end when the MacGyver ending, where Geordi's visor gets fitted to the tricorder.
To the tricorder, yeah.
And you just kind of
go, he did it by, and he's like, talk me through it, and I'll do
yeah, really, I'll be your eyes. I mean, it's a nice sentiment, and I get where it was going. You know, morally, it's a nice thing, but from a practical standpoint, that's just, you know, it's a huge pill to ask the audience to swallow.
It is.
So.
Especially when you go from, you were born this way, yes, your parents let you live.
Yeah. Yes.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Of course they let me live. And then 5 minutes later, it's like, dude, I got your back. I'll help you. I'll be your eyes. It's like, wait,
you just grew a huge morality suddenly.
Yeah, I don't want to pick it apart too much, but otherwise it was a pretty good episode. It was a very typical Star Trek episode. Yes. Enjoyable in its own. So
it was very Trekky.
Yeah. So.
And you know, Picard with talking, or I like Picard's little spying there, where he's like listening in on the Romulans. and they're like, we're coming to get you. And then he opens the channel and he's like, hi. You're not thinking of coming into Federation space, are you? Because that would just be why on earth would there be a Romulan scout ship over here? It's like, I love when Picard gets on the channel with Romulans.
Yeah,
he's just amazing. He's like, he does so well against, especially that's why I kind of wish it had been Tomalak. Because Picard versus Tomalak is just amazing.
It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing to see.
Yes. Personality.
That all came down to the thing with the two Romulan ships, and then the three Klingon ships to cloak.
Yeah.
Are you ready to die here today? Like, okay, we'll leave now. I forget what episode that was. The Defector? Was it the Defector? Was that the one?
It might have been. I think so.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was.
You know all those shows by name, so you should know that.
The Defector, yeah, I'm pretty sure it was, because they figured out that he was fed false information before they got there.
All the communiques.
And they were just trying to prove it to Jirok.
Yeah, Commander Jirok.
And, yeah, it was the Defector.
Don't even try and keep up with Blind Press's memory. Don't even
I
try.
aspire to.
Yeah, you can try, but I wish you the very best. But man,
what made you pick this episode?
Honestly, it's always stuck with me. The first time I watched it, I was actually I've missed it for so many years when it was on rerun on cable, and it was actually one of the episodes that when I got the DVDs, I'm like, shit, man, I've never seen this episode on TV. And I watched it and I'm like, this is really cool. Like even with the big asks about the feeding the visor to the tricorder, it was really cool to have to see Geordi lose the function of his visor, overcome the panic of shit, I can't, like, I'm back to where I was before I was 5, because that was when he got his first visor, when he was 5. So he had to overcome the panic and be like, okay, yes, I can't see, but I can't just sit here with this Romulan and die. So me and the Romulan, even though we are basically diametrically opposed, are gonna have to get out of here together, and I'm gonna have to suck it up, Buttercup, and be a blind guy and get myself out of here. Which is kind of why I picked this episode. So yeah. Was there any other comments either of you wanted to make on that episode?
I think the stream from the planet, the graphics for the stream from the planet were kind of weak.
Ah.
That neutrino stream, when they show it coming up from the planet, it didn't hold up as far as a good visual effect. It looked very
That sucked.
Yeah. I mean, what do you think, Skep?
Yeah, pretty mediocre. I agree. It's not up to their usual standard.
Otherwise, I have nothing.
And then we move on to the psychological episodes.
Yes.
Looked like Predator, says Irate Prostate. Why did you look like Predator? Oh, you're talking about your pants. Okay, you and Prospero are talking. Gotcha. Okay, so next episode I picked was from season 4, and it's called Night Terrors. And let me tell you, this episode is not a good episode to watch if you are having a bout of insomnia. It is not conducive to a good night's sleep. And basically, this is the neutrino stream looked like Predator, he was saying. That's weird. So this episode is about the Enterprise going basically getting stuck in what's called a Tychon's Rift, because they're going to find out what happened to another vessel, another Federation vessel. And they find this vessel and find that the entire crew has killed each other quite violently. Like basically all kinds of murder, from just physical hand-to-hand combat to phasers set on vaporize to just everything,
stabbing each other with
and so Troy, they find one survivor, and he's a beta set like Troy, and he's basically catatonic. And this episode is basically about the crew being affected by being stuck in this Tychon's Rift. And it's them trying to figure out what the effects are, and then how to escape from this rift, and figure out what's causing Deanna, the only one who is actually sleeping properly to have horrible nightmares. And it's a scary episode, honestly, for Trek, really. It's quite close to a horror movie. When you're looking at a TV show, especially one like Star Trek, where there's some action, there's some, there's fight scenes and everything, but this was like quite different. This was very psychological. The crew, starts experiencing hallucinations as the episode goes on, because we come to find out nobody's dreaming, nobody's entering REM sleep, and they're all experiencing different effects of the lack of REM sleep, and it is just a creepy freaking episode. Like especially the scene where Crusher is going to autopsy the bodies, and then one of them just appears to sit up, and she just drops her tricorder, and she just ends up saying, "Go away."
Well, I don't know if this is adequately explained.
No, it's not, because it's a blind person explaining.
And it probably is worth noting here. What happens in that is one person sits up, one corpse appears to sit up, and then the camera pulls back, and all of the corpses are sitting up in the morgue, and she's looking around, and that's when she says, "Go away," and then they recline
lay down again.
Yeah, right.
And it's the reason that scene sticks with me so much is I've, before I got my meds all stabilized and things like that, and I used to have problems where I would hear random shit. And there have been several times when I've done exactly what Beverly did there. Just go away. You are not real. Just go away. Right? And it sticks with, like, Star Trek has a really good track record of playing on actual things that happen with people, like mentally, and showing different reactions to it. Sometimes people will break. Sometimes you'll have a character that will break under the pressure, or sometimes you'll have a character do what Crusher did and just tell it, you're not real, fuck off. And for somebody who can be really wishy-washy, I was glad that they had Crusher do that. I was glad that she didn't fall to pieces.
That was an unexpected show of strength.
Like Deanna fell to fucking pieces in that episode.
So repeatedly.
And I'm like, you're a counselor?
Yeah.
You're in charge of the ship's mental health, and
right.
You're like,
I want you in charge of that.
Well, that doesn't make her exempt from personal trauma, so.
Yeah, but she did not maintain very well, you got to admit.
That's Betazoids there. They're a little flaky like that.
That's true. Yeah.
Look at her mom.
Maybe they should be in charge of that.
But I think her mom's a little bit stronger than she is, though, honestly. And honestly, sometimes a bit smarter. And I never thought I'd say that about Loaxana Troy.
Loaxana has the advantage of being a true telepath.
Yeah. That's true.
All Troy is constantly being buffeted by emotions all the time. So I kind of gotta give her a pass.
Yeah.
Because she lives her life in that realm. No matter what she does, she can't get away from it. So, but you're right though. The fact that Beverly didn't, come back at her with claws and teeth and stuff like that was pretty. I was expecting Beverly blah, 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 right back at her.
Yeah.
She just kind of that didn't feel good. And then kind of walked away. I was like, wow. Good job, Bev.
But this episode was, and even Picard wasn't exempt from the hallucinations, which I thought was a really good idea, because they show Picard as, he's supposed to be this really strong guy. But I think it was really good that after the Borg incident, they wrote in a few other episodes that he's got some, that he can be shaken. Because in the first 3 seasons up to Best of Both Worlds, Picard was pretty much unshakable, if you really look at it. And then he got assimilated by the Borg, and the writers had enough sense to say, maybe we should have some of these things that affect the crew affect Picard.
Yeah.
Actually, no. Sorry, I'm gonna bump that back to the episode with Sarek, the meld.
Okay.
Or not? It's not called the meld. Sorry, it's called reunification. Or no, not reunification. No, it's the episode just called Sarek, the one where Sarek comes aboard.
Oh, okay.
Enterprise.
Yeah, I was thinking that where he died. Never mind.
No, when they had Picard meld with Sarek to keep him strong to finish the diplomacy required of him.
Right.
Ever since that, the writers were like, okay, maybe Picard can be a character that can be affected by things, and he won't lose his aura of captaincy and strength. In fact, it makes him more of a strong character.
It kind of explains this in the episode where him and Beverly are linked to each other.
Yeah,
I can't remember that one. Attached, right? He says, he looks at the tricorder and he says, "This way," and she says, "You have no idea which way to go." And he says, "Well, sometimes you have to give the illusion that you do."
Yeah.
Same thing. You might be shaken, but you can't show anybody that you're shaken. That's why when he's holding Sarek together, he's in his quarters with Beverly, and that's it. There ain't nobody else there. Not even Deanna.
Nope.
That's a very Kirkian sentiment.
It is. Although Kirk would never admit to it.
No. Yeah, Kirk. That's the difference. Kirk would never admit to it. Yeah. It's a good point.
If you keep hearing beeps in the background, it's because I sent out a tweet and the SJWs have descended upon me.
Oh dear.
Oh, what did you send out? What did you say?
There's a video going around, Pat, your boy Pat, one of our favorite people in the Minions.
Who's in chat, by the way.
Oh.
Hi, Pat.
I'm not seeing him in chat. Does he not have a wrench? No, Jack is in chat. I got to talk to you, Jack. There's a tweet, a video going around about where a guy's getting food, a really large black guy, someone Pat's size, is getting food, and he turns around with his back to the counter, and there's a woman there, and she's like maybe 5'2", and she starts fucking yelling at him, and she knocks the food out of his hand and knocks it in his face and throws it all, and she's just fucking going crazy. And I sent out a tweet and said something along the lines that the mad black woman stereotype exists for a reason.
And they didn't like that, I guess.
And oh boy. Yeah.
What? Oh my gosh. I have to see that.
Oh, there's Pat. Why doesn't Pat have a wrench?
I don't know. Let me fix that.
Yeah,
you need to fix that.
No, don't tap that button. Put user in timeout was the button. That came.
No.
There we go, Pat. You have a wrench.
Oh, sorry about that, Pat.
I gotta say, when it comes to Twitter, Pat is one of the most active people I know on Twitter.
Yep.
And it seems like we don't disagree on anything.
No,
I don't run into that very often. Usually I disagree with something somebody says at some point, but every time Pat says something, I'm like, yep, that's right.
So what did you guys think of this episode?
I had a hard time with the acting from Marina Sirtis.
Yeah.
She just reminds me of a baby who's not getting her way.
Where are you?
Well, there's that too. But I mean, when she gets a fight with Beverly, it's kind of like, but you didn't help me. You should help me. And what did you help me? What did you help me? It's like she was going to stomp our feet on the floor or something. Like, come on, man. You're a grown up. What the hell's wrong with you? I mean, I can understand losing it, being frightened and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, that's a different episode. That's the law.
Oh, is that different? Oh,
that's
the wrong one.
That's episode 10.
We're projecting.
On episode 17.
Yeah, you're projecting.
I guess that scene wasn't in that. Okay. Oh, you're right. The Lost. That's the 2D.
I was trying to think. What is he talking about?
No, that's the Lost. Thing. I knew exactly what episode he's talking about. There was a two-dimensional space creature
being drawn to a cosmic string or something like that.
Something like that. Or cosmic,
I got them scenes mixed up.
Okay.
No, this one this one was the eyes in the dark.
Oh my
One God. Moon circles.
Oh, it's worse then. She was being suspended by wires. I don't care what you say. You can see it, but
no, you can tell from the motion. You can tell.
The Superman thing was just ridiculous.
Yes, that was hokey. That was very hokey. I agree.
Where are you?
I have to find you.
And they did it over and over and over. Yeah. It was the same scene 3 times.
Yeah.
And you just go, dude, really? That did you just cut and paste the film over and over?
You cut and paste the film. God. It is a really cool idea with the fact is how they get a hydrogen atom is, the one moon circles idea.
Sure.
That's pretty cool.
That's a cool idea. Exactly.
It's a cool idea, but
it was just executed so badly.
Could we have some acting, please? Please, sir. Could we have some acting?
And I could see why the other full Betazoid would have been, catatonic, because if he couldn't figure out what was going on,
drive him insane.
Yeah.
What I liked about this episode was, and this is something that I like when any of the Star Treks do this, is when they take the regular Star Trek characters and make them a little bit different, all in the same way. For example, when they take a bunch of Star Trek characters and take them to an Earth type area and make them into gangsters, or they take them to the Old West, or they put them under the same kind of stress and they react slightly differently, like this type of a thing. It's interesting. It's a psychological thing that I just enjoy seeing how they react. I don't like, I'm not a sadist or anything like that, but it's interesting to see how they react. And I really enjoyed the acting by Picard effect on him. And when he was beginning to get confused and he was trying to think of the words to say, and Data was supplying the words to say, and then Picard had the sense to turn the command of the ship over to him. He realized he was losing it. And he said, I better do this. I better get rid of this before I do something bad. That was such a smart and good command decision. That's what a good captain does.
What was it? He basically thought he was on fire, was like, no! And then was like, as you were. Yeah. And then he goes into his ready room and goes, Mr. Data, please come to the ready room.
Yeah. Exactly. And that was just... I really enjoyed that aspect.
Can I just shout out Michael Dorn in this episode?
Yes.
Holy fuck.
Yeah. Yeah, he was
He was amazing.
He was wonderful, and even in the ritual killing moment,
Yeah.
that was excellent. I mean, I just enjoy watching him work.
Yeah. Yeah, that was an incredible moment where he was just like, I'm too weak. I can't fight it.
Yep, I'm not a warrior anymore.
I'm not a warrior. I'm afraid.
Yeah.
And I think that scene is the only scene where Marina Sirtis didn't fuck up the acting. And was like, Worf, the only you are a warrior because you have admitted your fear, and now you face it, right? And like, she didn't overdo it in that scene. Only that scene.
That's true. If you wanted to subtitle this episode, you could have called it Marina Sirtis's tits. Because her tits were prominently featured in almost every single scene. Like, Jesus. I mean, just, pooched out and prominently displayed, with as much cleavage as they could possibly get away with. It just was silly.
I have no idea. No doubt that was probably part of her request, because she's since had a boob job.
Well, and just to bring to Chain of Command, do you remember when Jellicoe told her to change? And she's all like, oh.
Yeah.
How dare you make me change?
That always kind of bothered me too. I mean, there isn't much I get behind with Jellicoe, but that woman was kind of like, yeah, I think you're right. I mean, if every once in a while she showed up in her counselor clothes, that would have been fine. But she's always in her fucking counselor clothes. You know, she needs to be in uniform.
She holds the rank of
Lieutenant
Commander.
Yeah, right.
So if she's got bridge duty, she definitely should be in a uniform, not in her counseling getup.
Yeah. Anything other than that gray jumpsuit, God, that was awful. Anyway.
Well, the breast presentation nightgown was kind of an amazing. You only saw it for like 2 seconds, and I just kind of went, "Really, guys?" For 2 seconds, all the adolescent males were just going, freeze the screen.
Yeah.
This is just going to take a minute.
So then we, if anyone's got no other things to say about Night Terrors.
No, I think we should continue talking about her breasts. I think they need
Sorry, I didn't mean to get us off there, but so to speak.
She's been topless quite a few times in media, so it's not like she's unafraid to be, because she was in what was it, Death Wish? The Death Wish, one of the Death Wish 3, I think it was.
She was one of the modern Death Wishes. Was she in? I've only ever seen the first Death Wish. I haven't watched any of the other ones.
Yeah, I think it was. I'm pretty sure it was Death Wish 3. I've seen all of them, including the Bruce Willis one.
She was in an episode of Stargate too.
Oh, was she?
Yeah, they went to Russia to do something, and she was, oddly enough, the Russian broad that they got teamed up with.
Anyway, sorry, I was just playing.
So now that we've talked about that one, we move on to the Mind's Eye, which I really like. It's about this episode is about Riker. He was supposed to go on a undercover diplomatic mission. And he ends up being accused of murdering somebody and ends up in a mental institution on this alien planet. But what really fucks with you as a viewer is he goes between Enterprise and putting on this play about a mental patient, and then goes bouncing back to the actual alien mental hospital. And this whole episode is basically about Riker trying to figure out what's real and what's not. And it's a really cool another psychological episode. I chose these last two because the psychology of them really interested me. And I thought Jonathan Frakes did a really good job in this episode. And the really cool basically memory integration thing that they were trying to do at the end, and how the actual crew of the Enterprise was trying to save him, but you don't know that that's what's going on. It looks like it's just all in his head. It's such a if you're a blind person watching this episode, it takes a few times watching it to
I can only imagine.
Like, especially if you're not watching it with somebody.
Yeah.
If you're just sitting there by yourself. The first time I watched this episode, I watched it 3 times back to back because I was like, what in the fuck just happened? Right? So and I'm sure that there's still stuff that I've missed visually. But this episode was just an amazing episode. What did you guys think about it?
Hello.
Is that Pinkala?
So yeah, it's Pinkala.
Hello.
Wave. Hello.
Wave, hello. So yeah, what did you guys think about this
I think
episode?
that was a pretty poor wave that he just gave. It bothered me. This is more of a. I would say this is probably the most, even with the best of both worlds. This is probably the most psychotic episode that Star Trek did. I was like, it bothered me. I mean, it really was like,
You're gonna interrupt my show for a second.
I'm gonna interrupt your show for a second.
What?
Well, okay, is the mic on?
Yeah.
Is everyone listening?
Yeah.
Are the people listening?
Yes.
Okay. So we went shopping last night, and because of you guys, this. Wait, need to focus. Wait. There we go. Is the ring.
wow.
Yeah.
So thank you, everyone.
Thank you to you all. That's from you guys.
And it's interesting trying to keep this all within a very small budget is amazing, actually.
It's very pretty.
Yep.
Wonderful.
That's
congratulations, guys.
Thank you. They say congratulations.
Well,
Any happy years.
Hooray, we got the rings.
I hope you both stay alive for a long time.
Okay. Now back to your regularly scheduled blind.
Yay, says Irate.
No one told you your camera's a little funky?
No.
People. The blind woman cannot do production without you.
Shut up. So this so you thought this episode was kind of a what did you think about Frakes and his acting? Do you think it was too much, or was it?
There was a little bit of Kirk in there.
A little bit of Kirk.
A little bit of overacting, but it wasn't bad. It wasn't so that it was out of place. It just seemed a little over the top in some spots, but not blatantly so.
I agree. I think there were a couple of moments where I was like, ooh, tone it down a bit.
I thought it was very un-Frakian, actually. Yeah.
Agreed. There was actually some acting.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm not a fan of him. Quite the contrary. He's one of the reasons that I didn't really cotton to TNG much at first.
Honestly, this episode made me kind of like Riker a bit.
I ended up liking him more after I watched this than before. This was one of the episodes that this was one of his better episodes. I'll say that.
Yeah. It's Riker. And the other reason I like this episode is, again, it hits me in a personal spot, because when you're trying to get a diagnosis for a mental health diagnosis, it's just as anxiety inducing as a physical one. You're just like, what the fuck is wrong with me? Like, am I crazy? Is something like, what is this fixable? Am I, and to see Riker go through that was really, really, I again, with Star Trek and tackling very 20th century issues in the future. And I think it's a really cool way that they've done it.
I agree with you.
Yep.
Yep. Very much so. Very much so. So,
were there any things that you disliked about this episode?
The only thing, like I said before, is I was actually personally mentally disturbed by the show. There was just, when he was losing it, I found it hard to watch.
Yeah.
I was like, is there anything else on? I really wanted to change the station. I don't think I've gone back and watched it since its original airing. It's just, no, that makes me feel too uncomfortable. I can't watch it.
Yeah.
It did not bother me that way. That bothered me that way. I can accept it as theater, and this is just make believe and watch it that way. The thing, some things that bugged me, actually, it's funny. Like at the beginning when he's in the shuttlecraft, I'm going, okay, junior officer is going on leave, and they give him a shuttlecraft to go on leave by himself. What? What? How the hell did that even happen? That would be like, I can't even come up with a parallel in the
remember,
this is Navy for doing that.
Remember, this is the same ship where the 16-year-old cadet stole a shuttlecraft and crashed it into an atmosphere. I know. So,
but you're giving a major asset to a junior officer so he can go, and you're rendering it unusable or not useful. It's basically going to be parked for a few days so he can go have fun, get drunk, maybe drive it around with a bunch of girlfriends in it. Okay. And then he's going to drive it back, maybe drunk, and try and park it. So the premise, so I kind of had to say, okay, this is a big ask, but it's Star Trek, and I love Star Trek, so I'm going to grant that. So then he's inside the shuttlecraft, and he starts playing this game with the computer.
Oh, wait, this is Geordi's.
Yes.
That's the wrong episode that you're looking at. That's
Oh, you know what? You're right. I'm confused. I'm just picking the other episode. You're absolutely right.
And I don't feel so bad suddenly.
Yeah. Okay, I did it too.
At least I know which episode you're talking about, so I can.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll just record that as something that bothered me about the other episode. So it's not a complete waste of time. Never mind. Never mind.
I like at the end when Riker's like, when Deanna's like, let me help you disassemble the stage. And he's like, nope, I need to do this by myself. And he's just like, destroys the stage.
Even that kind of bothered me a little bit because the stage was darkened and he was alone. It just gave me an uncomfortable feeling like, is it really over?
Yeah, that's what I felt like too.
Yeah, because I just, a lot of this was like what's the term for when they make the color palette really flat?
Oh, shit. I know what you're talking
It's
about.
like any DC movie.
Monochromatic? No.
Or pastel or what?
No, they take what would be a scene with a fair amount of color in it, and they mute all the colors. It's what DC does, opposed to Marvel
Okay.
when they do their movies.
I
Marvel
see.
characters are all in bright blues and bright reds, and then you look at the DC characters, and they're all very dark blues and dark reds, and the lighting is very dim and all that kind of stuff.
I
It's
see.
dark look to it.
Message quiz, he'll know.
Yeah.
Or ask Jack.
I have to say for Night Terrors and for The Mind's Eye, the music really added to the feeling of discomfiture. And I think they did a very good job with that. I really do. I think The Mind's Eye had a great soundtrack, and Night Terrors had a great soundtrack. Sepia?
Sepia. Yeah, that would make everything kind of like a
that's what I said. Sepia or
sepia or sepia, however you pronounce it, turns everything like Polydub's Noir Bar, where everything is kind of like a yellowish color, like a tan.
Yeah.
But there's a name for
saturation.
Yeah, if you take an image and turn the saturation way down, so that the colors aren't as bright, there's a name for that term when you do that, and that's different than sepia. So yeah, but yeah, everything seemed kind of dark. All the lighting was angular, and only thing you didn't see was a lot of Dutch angles, but there were a couple of shots that makes your balance in your head, you pretty much grabbing the table because you think you're going to fall because of the Dutch angle, and
weird.
All that kind of stuff kind of accumulates when you're watching the show, and yeah, it really bothered me. I mean, I can watch movies like Psycho and stuff like that and be unaffected, yet watching this episode was like, I got to turn this off. I'm going to force myself to watch it now just to see if I feel as strongly now as I did then.
Well, I watched this episode for the first time alone. I think Pinkala was on night shift, and I couldn't sleep, and it was like 2:00 in the morning.
Not a good episode to watch by yourself.
And the funny thing was, I had watched Night Terrors in the same night. So I was just sitting there like, what the hell?
That's a little masochistic, if you ask me.
Yeah, I do this thing where I like to scare the crap out of myself. Like with I'll watch horror movies with really messed up sound effects, like the original Evil Dead. Because it's for me being blind, it's the audio stuff,
of course,
that fucks with me. So like movies like possession movies, when you get all demonic and stuff, and they do whatever it is that they do to make your voice sound that way, that really fucks with me. So I like to do shit to scare myself, like wear headphones and watch The Evil Dead, or wear headphones and watch The Exorcist, or just
jeez, you crazy.
Just it's I do crazy shit like that sometimes.
I dislike horror movies in general, and the psychotic thriller kind of stuff really gets to me, like the original Paranormal Activity movie.
Oh, I got so mad at that movie.
Oh, it scared the hell out of me. I can't watch it.
I was yelling at the boyfriend. Cause when he's like, "You're gonna fuck with my family," like daring the demon. I'm like, okay, you're dead.
Yeah.
You dumbass. Fucking, you're dead. Like, apparently Paranormal Entity is a good movie to watch, and I haven't seen that one yet. I love doing that, says Irate. Scaring yourself? Yeah. Scaring yourself is fun.
Some of the visual effects you couldn't see, but some of the visual effects were kind of cool too, because when he shot stuff, it would shatter in a way where it looked like glass shattering kind of stuff.
And they had an effect, like an audio effect.
Yeah,
too.
it sounded kind of like glass, didn't it?
Yeah, when he shot the phaser, it sounded like glass shattering.
Yeah, the visual effect went along with that. Everything kind of
really
turned
cool.
into like plate glass and kind of.
I wondered about that.
Yeah.
I wondered if there was a visual effect to go along with that. That's so awesome. See, this is why I like doing Star Trek with you guys, because like for stuff that I've watched for years, I've got the audio stuff memorized. And then you guys tell me some visual thing and I'm like, "Oh, that is so cool." And then I can fit it in my head right along with everything else that's happened.
Yeah, chat's trying to come up with the name of the effect that I'm talking about, but as long as you understand what I'm saying, but saturation probably would be the best way to explain it.
I know that word. It's on the tip of my tongue, Hammer. I know exactly. I know. I've heard that word. I've heard it.
There's a very specific movie term for it, but
it is, and it has to do with inking and film development.
Whenever somebody compares Marvel to DC, you'll hear them use this term.
Yes. DC Comics.
When I'm talking about the movies.
If I just don't think about it, it'll come to me.
Yeah.
You know what? You know how you just kind of take your foot off the accelerator.
We'll get a group DM tomorrow. That's the word.
Well, like I say, Jack or Quiz will say, "Oh, it's blah blah blah," and yeah.
You know who else would know? Scribe.
Yeah, Scribe would know also.
Scribe would definitely know.
Scribe knows all. Scribe really is knowledgeable about stuff like that.
I was watching the Monkey Show last night, and they were talking about, was it Monkey said that Jack was his scribe or something like that, and Scribe got all offended. I was going to send Scribe a little DM. Scribe, you are my scribe. Just make it feel better.
Well, no, you should say Jack may be Monkey's scribe, but Scribe is Jack's scribe.
That's awesome.
But yeah, it was. I don't of the 3 episodes. I like this one the best in general production value and acting and that kind of stuff. It's just the subject matter kind of made me uncomfortable. So
guys, who wants to go for next week?
You, Hammer.
Boy, you're really avoiding this.
Well, I think it'll be therapeutic for you.
Okay. The order's not that important, really.
It'll be good for you.
Yeah. Well, I definitely have one right off the top of my head. But it'll take me a couple of
Now, there's actually a method to my madness, and that is that
you don't want to pick something that someone else picks?
Yeah, exactly. And you guys know the canon so much better than I do, and these mean more to you than they mean to me, that I don't want to accidentally pick one that would mean more if you picked it. So,
gotcha.
So if I picked like Measure of a Man, and that was one that you loved, for example, then we'd waste that, and I don't want to do that. So.
I know Offspring is one of yours for sure, right, Skep?
Yes, Offspring is one. How did you know?
You've already told me that. You said Offspring was when I was picking mine. You're like, please don't pick Offspring.
Right, exactly.
So you don't have to worry about that. Definitely not one of mine.
I love Offspring.
I do too. It's a good episode.
I'm a sentimentalist. Unabashed. So fuck off.
I will give you a hint. I can actually tell you what mine is, but we'll see if you guys can get it. First of all, I'll give you the hint that it is a Beverly Crusher episode.
Oh, please tell me it's not Sub Rosa.
It is. It is.
No. Good.
Okay.
No, I didn't know that was a Beverly episode, but okay.
With the ghost candle.
Oh yeah, that one. No, it's not. It's not.
God,
that.
I hated that episode.
No. It was nice to see Beverly have an orgasm on TV. I enjoyed that thoroughly.
It wasn't as tense.
I think
after all.
Beverly gets kind of a push on that show because I think she's pretty hot, but it's because she's tall and thin, and I like tall and thin. So, but no, it is not Sub Rosa. I was thinking of the one where the junior officers, the one Bajoran chick goes out to help the Kardashian guy and gets killed.
Oh, Lower Decks.
Lower Decks, yes. He said Sub Rosa, Lower Decks. That's this. I get this mixed up.
They're one after the other.
Yeah, probably why I get it mixed
Yeah,
up.
that is one of the things I have never figured out about that show. Why doesn't Beverly Crusher have a fella or a chica?
Because she's too loyal
Picard is
to
her-
Jack.
Picard is going to be her guy if she ever does anything. And they're working together, so there's a problem there. That's why. Yeah, but it's not Sub Rosa. But how many more Beverly episodes do you know?
Let me think. There's Attached, which is the Picard and Beverly episode.
Yeah, that kind of qualifies. I'm surprised Prospero hasn't jumped in on chat to say what it is.
Let's see, there's Sub Rosa.
Yeah,
it's the one where she gets kidnapped and taken to Rutia. What the fuck is the name of that episode?
That is a Beverly episode, but that is not the one.
Oh, Jesus! Now I'm going.
See,
crazy.
nobody ever remembers the one that I'm thinking of, and that's actually a hint.
Good. Oh, okay. This is gonna drive me crazy.
That was a hint.
Oh, the one that nobody thinks of.
That's not what I said. I said it's the one that not everybody remembers.
The one that not everyone remembers is a Beverly episode.
Do you want more time?
Remember Me?
It is. You got it.
Thank you. I can't believe I forgot that episode.
It's one that not everybody remembers.
I had to think about that for a minute. Yeah, Remember Me. That's it.
That is definitely one of my episodes because that's probably my favorite. Just outright number one. I mean, best
That's
of
a great episode.
great episode.
That is a great episode.
But her logic and deductive reasoning, that kind of stuff, puts it right at the top for me.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, I can't wait to talk about
That's a
that
good one.
It's got a lot of things. So we'll go over it when we talk about it next week.
Yeah,
that's definitely one of them. I'm not sure what my other two is going to be yet.
Throw it in the group DM and
we'll hash it out. Great. All right.
Well, chat, I want to thank everybody for coming out and listening to us, and I want to thank Skep and Hammer for joining me as always, and hopefully Mr. Irate will be joining us again next week. I hope you're doing better, my dude.
He got it in chat, by the way.
Oh, he did?
He got the episode,
well done, Irate. Well done.
I
Please.
was not looking in chat, by the way.
Oh, you weren't? Okay.
I honestly was not.
And I hope everyone will come back for next weekend when we'll be doing Hammer's Picks. And remember to come by tomorrow for the Blind and the Special at 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Central, and of course the coffee stream at 12 on Monday. I hope everyone has a great day. Also, don't forget to go watch Minions of the Zoo tonight at 11:30 Eastern, 10:30 Central. I think it's Rejects night, so go check that out. And I hope everyone has a great weekend. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you later. Goodbye, guys.
Bye,
everybody.